We're starting with WWE's WrestleMania kickoff press conference, and as the dust settles, the show's co-hosts and every fan watching was left wondering what the heck is going on. During the press conference, Roman Reigns made his choice for WrestleMania, saying that he chose The Rock, but Cody Rhodes wasn't going to let him go that easy. At his own time in front of the crowd, Rhodes said that he chose to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, infuriating the tribal chief, who isn't interested in a rematch from last year. Rhodes would lay into both Reigns and The Rock, saying that the two men vying to be the head of the table haven't been around to cook in 2 years, referencing the Bloodlines family. Cody said that if The Rock and Roman's grandfather High Chief Peter Maivia were here, he'd be ashamed of the pair, which caused a huge reaction from the crowd. The comment caused a stir in The Rock, saying he and Cody have a problem and he'd slap the American Nightmare for good measure, with Seth Rollins backing up his fellow Raw superstar. This chaotic ending raises a lot of questions, including whether Cody and Rollins could team to face The Rock and Reigns in a match before we get to WrestleMania 40. There were Rocky sucks chants, boos, but also we want Rocky chants, and we have to question whether WWE changed their Mania plans because of the fan backlash. We may never know for sure, but thanks to the booking of this press conference, there is a massively strong emotional connection to Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns too. There's also the question as to where Cody's choice leaves Seth Rollins and The Rock, though one of the hosts of the event, CM Punk, did bring up that The Rock is a TKO board member. Punk was seemingly hinting that The Rock may use his corporate sway to be added to the match, while Big E reminded everyone that WrestleMania has 2 main events over 2 nights these days. This incredible piece of business was executed better than just about anyone could imagine, with The Rock's heel turn and massive ego giving Cody the clear path back to the main event scene. The Rock is a corporate heel, and Roman Reigns is the tribal chief, leaving Cody Rhodes as the only face that everyone can root for in this blockbuster main event scene. In a backstage segment, The Rock was far from pleased with Cody's comments about his family, and once again teasing his TKO superiority, ordered Triple H to fix this situation. If he doesn't, Rock will, in his own words, slap his f***ing teeth out of his mouth in a very tense exchange between the two, in which Roman Reigns was also present. This wasn't as much of a press conference as it was pure cinema, though it was interesting to see Reigns take a back seat and follow Rock, much like Solo follows him. It was a nice touch by WWE to have Seth Rollins back Cody up, as the World Heavyweight Champion, like Rhodes, has been vocal about part-timer competitors such as Reigns and his cousin. Fans will of course remember that Reigns and Rollins were once 2/3 of the Shield, and in an interview with Bleacher Report, Reigns was asked if they're still close as they once were. He said, "We talk here and there, especially with Seth having a new baby and stuff, and I have so many kids. It's funny because they're just getting their first one. I have 5 kids, so I have a legitimate household here. I don't have any time to spare. If I'm not deeply involved in parenting, I'm in the gym or I'm working within the creative process of wrestling. Me and Seth were texting back and forth a few weeks ago. Me and John text a little more sporadically." Rollins may despise Reigns and what the part-time champion stands for on TV, but clearly the pair are still close, as both men ultimately want WWE to be the best it can be. Now both Roman and Seth Rollins will compete at WrestleMania, but could their paths cross in the weeks running up to the show? Time will tell. More from the WrestleMania press conference as Rhea Ripley made an appearance on the show to address a potential WrestleMania and admitted to being surprised Bayley chose Io Sky. Ripley mentioned that she has one stop before WrestleMania 40, and that is Elimination Chamber, and the mention of the Perth, Australia event brought out Becky Lynch. Lynch mentioned that she had qualified for the Elimination Chamber match, and when she wins the Elimination Chamber match, she's coming straight for Rhea Ripley. As the tensions grew between the two, Adam Pearce came out to separate both women, and it's already looking like it'll be the man who faces Ripley at WrestleMania 40. This isn't a massive surprise given that there's been talks of a match between the two for some time, and Lynch came face to face with Mommy a couple of weeks ago. Lynch will have to survive the other 5 women in the chamber, while Ripley will face Nia Jax in her homeland, but should both win, expect an epic showdown at WrestleMania in Philly. One name we know won't compete at WrestleMania 40 is CM Punk, as his torn triceps injury has derailed all plans for the best in the world at the 2-night show. At the WrestleMania 40 press event, Punk was on the panel of hosts with his arm in a brace and admitted that he's 1 week removed from surgery and he's still not 100%. Punk said he is heartbroken he can't compete at the show, but is pleased to still be in the mix and is sure that with his brain and his mouth fully functional, he's still going to a lot of people off. It looks like CM Punk will be more involved than expected on the road to WrestleMania, which comes as good news for fans of the best in the world who are devastated by his injury. Punk won't wrestle at WrestleMania, but there's still a lot of roles at the two-night show, and we'll have to see what role Punk has as we get closer to the Showcase of the Immortals. Last December, WWE filmed speed matches ahead of a SmackDown taping, in which the superstars had to use high-octane offense to score wins in under 5 minutes. At the time, matches were being commented on, making it seem like they'd be used for a future broadcast, and the new WWE Speed show has now been confirmed. At the WrestleMania press conference, it was said that the show will be broadcast exclusively on Twitter as part of a collaboration between WWE and the social media giant. While 5 minutes may not seem like a huge amount of time, there's plenty of matches that can go under that time limit, with The Rock infamously beating Eric Rowan in seconds at WrestleMania 32. The WWE Speed Show has a lot of potential to showcase talent fans may not necessarily always see on TV, and with a spring 2024 start date, it won't be long before the fans get to see WWE Speed. When WWE replaced Brock Lesnar on the 40 Years of WrestleMania cover of WWE 2K24, they chose John Cena, who was already on the cover, and avoided using Randy Orton, who's still missing. On Twitter, Orton reacted to being snubbed from the cover art, simply saying it's a mood, and considering Orton's impressive accolades, his absence from this WrestleMania art is a huge omission. Now, despite his best efforts at Crown Jewel and the Royal Rumble, LA Knight failed to capture the undisputed WWE Universal Championship from Roman Reigns, but he's not giving up yet. During a recent conversation on the In the Click podcast, Knight spoke about his goals and made clear that a World Championship is still on the menu. He said, "Look, for me, again, I never got into this to be a background player. I want to be the guy, and in order to do that, I need to be the champion. I need to be the WWE champion, the guy. Right now, I feel like Roman Reigns is holding that role. Some could say it's Seth Rollins, but I look at that streak that Roman is on, and he's holding, and I want that." Furthermore, LA Knight was not opposed to the idea of going after other WWE titles as a stepping stone to ascend to the top level. Now, am I opposed to, on the way there, doing it the old way of getting that US Championship or Intercontinental Championship as a proving ground, as a stepping stone to getting there? Look, man, I told everybody from day one, I'm coming in for gold. Nobody's gonna stop me from that, so if that means US title on the way, Intercontinental Championship on the way, or whatever, I'm game for it. At the end of the day, I'm looking for that top spot. Knight has gotten incredibly over with the fans, but many feel his moment in the sun is come and gone, given how he's fallen dramatically out of the title picture since last month's Royal Rumble. The audience may be firmly behind the "yeah" movement, but it'll ultimately be WWE's higher-ups who decide if Knight wins the titles he wants en route to a coveted World Championship win. For years, Drew McIntyre has established his name in the world of wrestling, but recently the Scottish Warrior teased a move to Hollywood with a parody of Braveheart. In a video shared online, McIntyre steps into Mel Gibson's shoes as William Wallace and gives a rounding speech to his soldiers, which two soldiers at the very back hilariously struggle to hear. In his tweet, McIntyre teased heading to Hollywood to disrupt their industry, and though this wasn't a real film scene, McIntyre does have a project in the pipeline. McIntyre will be part of an action comedy called The Killer's Game, which will also feature fellow world champion Dave Bautista as the lead, and a move to Hollywood may not be out of the question for Drew. In a matter of weeks, AEW will host its Revolution pay-per-view, and with tickets for the show in high demand, the promotion has taken action. As WrestleTix noted, more seats have been allocated for the show, with 16,207 seats set up for the show in the Greensboro Coliseum, as Sting will have a huge audience for his final ever match. More from The Rock, and had his return not come during Cody Rhodes' story, the WWE Universe would no doubt be thrilled to see the Great One back, but that isn't the case. Rhodes reportedly advised WWE that last week's SmackDown and The Rock's return wouldn't garner the response the company wanted, and Cody isn't the only one who saw the backlash coming. While speaking on the Maggie and Perloff show, Seth Rollins argued that some people might have seen the backlash coming given how much fans have been behind Cody, stating, "Well, maybe not no one saw coming. I think some of us with a right mind might have seen this coming." Rollins also addressed the "Rocky sucks" chants from this week's Raw, saying he wasn't prepared for this negative reaction, and addressed how The Rock will respond to the negativity. He said, "I was in the ring for the Rocky Sucks chants. You saw my reaction. That was as legitimate as it comes. I was not prepared. I was prepared maybe for a little 'we want Cody.' Didn't know if they were going to boo The Rock. The Rocky Sucks ones? Whoa, that hit me. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. He's a brand expert, Dwayne Johnson. He knows what he's doing. He'll figure it out one way or another. I don't know how this is going to sit with him. I don't know if he's on a level where it doesn't matter to him. He's going to do what he does, or is he going to take this to heart? He's a passionate guy. Whatever he gets involved in, it's because he has passion for it. I assume him getting back involved with WWE has a lot to do with his passion for this. That negative reaction, it might fester. Years ago, when they did this to him and chanted Rocky Sucks, they went a little further and there were some Die Rocky Die chants. It was crazy back in the day. He took it and ran with it, and it's part of what made him who he is today. Who knows? I'm excited. WrestleMania season is upon us. So many possibilities. The Rock is back, and it's all good. The Rock and WWE are seemingly leaning into a heel turn for The Rock, which makes sense, as if fans are going to boo him, the company might as well give the fans a reason to boo him on screen. As for Rollins, his WrestleMania future is unclear, but as far as he's concerned, it didn't take a genius to realize building Rhodes up just to have him step aside for a part-timer wasn't going to end well. Seth Rollins had a lot to say about The Rock during the show, as he did about Roman Reigns, who is in his 1,256th day as the Universal Champion. Rollins is one of the very few men to defeat Reigns during this run, admittedly by DQ, and the reigning World Heavyweight Champion didn't hold back on his assessment of the Tribal Chief. According to Seth, Reigns has ruined that title, that has a lineage dating back decades, and argued that his World Heavyweight title is now WWE's most prestigious piece of gold. Rollins added that Reigns' sporadic appearances and lack of regular title defenses has demeaned the Hollywood title, and called it as close to a prop as you'll see on WWE TV. Seth added that when he held the WWE Championship, which is now a part of the title Reigns holds, he defended it all over the place and made sure the title was present, unlike the Tribal Chief. While his reign has been far shorter, Rollins likely surpasses Roman when it comes to title defenses. And do you agree that the head of the table has demeaned the title he's held for over 3 years? Now, Vince McMahon may be gone from WWE, but the lawsuit against him is still moving forward, and recently Janelle Grant's lawyer suggested that other women may come forward. Decades ago, McMahon was accused of raping WWE's first female referee, Rita Chatterton, who McMahon would pay undisclosed amount to last year, but that might not be the end of things. Mario Mancini was a WWE wrestler decades ago and is best remembered as The Undertaker's first WWE opponent at a Superstars taping, and he was employed when the alleged rape happened. On the Cheap Heat podcast, Mancini spoke about the lawsuit against McMahon and the various vile acts he's alleged to have performed, and said that McMahon did worse stuff than that. He allegedly defecated on her head, and you saw those texts in the lawsuit. There's worse stuff than that. I'm just waiting for one of them stories to come out. Rita and I were waiting last year. McMahon doesn't have the sway to force a return like he did back in January 2023, and we will continue to follow this case and see what else is to come in the latest Vince McMahon scandal. If you've watched any episode of WWE TV over the past week, you'll know that the We Want Cody movement has been in full swing, as the fans are fully behind the American Nightmare. That movement has led to The Rock, one of the most popular babyfaces of all time, being booed, and now the alleged People's Champion has finally weighed in on his return controversy. On an episode of the Pat McAfee Show, The Rock played up the idea that the fans don't like him like they used to, and had a unique name for those behind the We Want Cody movement. He said, "Cody, I love his passionate fans. Then there's the other passionate fans of Cody. They're called the, what's that? Oh, Cody Crybabies. These are grown-ass men. Oh, Cody's gotta finish his story. Finish his story right now. It's like, wait a second. Hey, Dad, you wanna go outside and play catch? No, Cody's losing and I'm upset." The wife comes in, "Hey, honey, do you wanna have sex?" "Not now, he's gotta finish his story." At the end of the day, you got the Cody Crybabies, the Cody fans, and Cody himself, so there's a clear distinction between the three. Even with the Reigns-Rhodes match confirmed, The Rock has big plans to make his return to the ring, and on the show said he's been working hard with a training camp for WrestleMania. The Rock has multiple rings set up in Hawaii and on the West Coast, and said that while taking bumps for the first time in a long time has been hard, getting back in the ring is like riding a bike. When asked why he's going back to WWE, Rock made it clear that he loves wrestling, and while he doesn't have to go back, wrestling is who he is and what he was born to do. Unfortunately, The Rock's return has brought out the worst in some fans, and on the show, the Brahma Bull addressed his daughter Ava receiving death threats over the WrestleMania plans. The Rock said it was crazy to see his daughter be treated this way and wanted fans to remember that we're all in this thing to make the stories fans enjoy as good as they can possibly be. The Rock made it clear that he and those in WWE are working together to tell a compelling narrative, and sending death threats to a young woman over this story is a step way too far. Wrestling has some of the most passionate fans in the world, for better or worse, and expect plenty more from The Rock, Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns on the road to WrestleMania 40. We've got some concerning news to report now, as former WWE and WCW star Virgil's health has seriously deteriorated as of late. On social media, WWE legend Tatanka shared that Virgil has undergone several strokes and asked for the prayers of fans, and this is the latest health setback for the former $1 Million champion. Virgil revealed in May 2022 that he was battling stage 2 colon cancer as well as dementia, and we'd like to offer our very best wishes to Virgil at this awful time. Over to TNA, as this week Scott D'Amore was ousted as the company president and replaced by Anthem's Anthony Saccone, in a move that has angered fans who appreciate D'Amore's efforts. Several TNA names, past and present, have spoken highly of D'Amore in the role, and it turns out that Scott was willing to pay big money to keep his vision for TNA alive. PW Insider reports that Scott approached Anthem with an offer to buy the company from them and was backed by a major financial institution in the banking sector. The lucrative offer was seen as legitimate enough that it was strongly considered by Anthem Sports Management, but they chose not to accept it. Scott D'Amore was one of the major reasons for TNA's success in the wrestling business and was the pivotal figure behind the popular decision to relaunch the company as TNA Wrestling. Without Scott, the future of TNA is unclear, and it remains to be seen what's next for the promotion without one of its all-time most influential and loyal figures. On this week's AEW Dynamite, Sting and Darby Allin captured the AEW World Tag Team Championships, marking the Icon's first title reign in over a decade and what'll likely be his last. After all, Sting's career is set to end in less than a month at AEW Revolution, and while one last title win is huge for the Stinger, he was against the idea at first. Fightful Select reports that Sting was initially adamantly against winning the titles or even competing for them, but some in AEW felt he had to have a title shot eventually. That's because Sting and Darby are undefeated as a tag team, and with the company wanting to acknowledge rankings, this undefeated team was definitely in line for a shot at the titles. Sting ultimately relented, and the decision for the pair to win the titles was made well in advance of this week's show, and Sting was said to be all smiles after the match backstage. Sting was happy backstage despite Dynamite going off the air with the Young Bucks attacking himself and Allin, and Sting's sons weren't spared in this onslaught. After the show went off the air, AEW President Tony Khan could be seen checking up on Sting and even hugging him while the latter lay in the ring following the Young Bucks' assault. It seems guaranteed now that Sting's last match will see himself and Allin face the Young Bucks, and we're sure the Icon will get a fitting send-off for his legendary career. NXT news next, as not every young athlete who steps into the Performance Center makes it as a WWE superstar, and this week Amari Miller confirmed her exit from the company. Miller explained that after joining WWE in 2021, neither she nor WWE decided on re-signing a new 3-year contract, and that she's beyond grateful for the opportunity WWE gave her. In her Instagram story post, Miller added that it's possible she'll lace up her wrestling boots again, but she's not sure, and is looking forward to the next chapter of her life. Miller's last match saw her lose to Jada Parker on a January 2024 taping of NXT Level Up, and with a win-loss record of 3-23, we'll have to see if Miller's name resurfaces in the world of pro wrestling. It's been over 3 years since The Undertaker's final farewell, but the Hall of Famer still dons his iconic hat and coat from time to time, including in Saudi Arabia this week. The Undertaker was on hand to present Al Hilal with the Riyadh Season Cup trophy following their soccer win over Al Nassr, in a surprising appearance by the all-time wrestling legend. While best known for his TNA wrestling days as Bram, Thomas Latimer was once part of WWE and worked as Kenneth Cameron in The Ascension before being replaced in the team. With his long hair and dark character, some saw Latimer as similar in style to The Undertaker, and it turns out the WWE Hall of Famer discussed this with Latimer himself. During a recent interview with Developmentally Speaking, Latimer recalled the Phenom joking that The Ascension were stealing his royalties before making it clear he didn't care about the similarities. The Undertaker's in-ring career is over while Latimer still wrestles occasionally, and he won't have to worry about the dead man getting angry if he chooses to resurrect his old NXT character.